Hi, welcome to automationtesting.in. In this video, we will see Python data types numbers. So in our previous video, we have seen that just an introduction. There are different types of data types. So in this, we will discuss about numbers. Okay, Python number data types. So under this number data types, we have integer, float, and then complex. These three things comes under number data types in Python. So we'll see one by one what is integer, float, and complex, all these things. So int data type. Int data type is to represent whole numbers, that is integral values. Okay. Integers can be of any length. So you can give how much length you want, you can give that. Coming to the float data type. Float data type is to represent floating point values, means decimal values. Floating point values can also be represented by exponential form, that is scientific notation. Okay. So coming to the complex data type. Complex numbers are written in the form of x plus yj. Okay, x plus yj is a form of complex numbers. In x plus yj, x is called real part and y is called imaginary part. So x is called real part and y is called imaginary part. X and y values contain integers or floating point values. Okay. In this, the real part and imaginary part can be either integer or float. Okay, you can use anything, means it allows both integer and float. So we have seen theoretically, right, what is integer, what is float, and what is complex. By taking some examples, we'll see how it will be. Okay. So let's go to Notepad++. So here I'll create one file and I'll name it as numbers data type. Numbers data numbers data type dot py. Okay. So first we'll see integer, how it will be. I say a equals to 1 2 3 4. Right. A is a variable. In that variable, I am storing 1 2 3 4. If I want to print a, okay. So instead of using this command prompt, I have one plugin for Notepad++ that is called npp console. So by this is integrated with your Notepad++, you can place anywhere. So directly you will get this your command prompt, directly you can execute here. So I can say Python number data type.py. So the value is 1 2 3 4. Fine. But Python is, I'm saying this is integer. Then how can I say that is an integer? Right. So we already discussed Python is, it will auto detect. Right. It will auto detect the data type. So, but I want to see whether 1 2 3 4 is an integer or not. Okay. So that is possible. So you can say print. You have one of the function called type of a. Okay. Type of a I'm asking. Means what type of data type it is. Okay. So when I execute the same thing here again, you see that that is integer. So automatically detecting and telling. Type inferred, we said, right? Type inferred. So I'm able to see what kind of, what is the purpose of this? To get the type of the variable using this type function. And then I have a equals to 10 and then b equals to 10. Okay. Now, what is the address of a and b in the memory? So for that, you can say print id of a. Okay, id of a. Now I'll execute this and we'll see what happens. So this is giving me some location. Okay, 21226357666352. But what about b also having the value 10? Then what is the address, memory address of that b? So we'll try to print and see. Print id of b. Okay, so we'll try to execute the same again. You see that same location for the both, same location it is referring. 217 666 502 1008 means, so if you are giving the same value to another, means how it will be. So you have a, so it is going to some location. Inside this I'm storing 10, but I have given b equals to 10, then it is also pointing to same 10. The reason is you need 10 only, right, for both the cases. So you already have in the memory location, so it will refer to the same thing. Okay, now I can say here it can be any length, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. Then again I can give the same thing and same thing and same thing, something like that, very big number. Okay, so I want to print this, print of b. Okay, again you can see here the print of id of b. The value is different, right? Here if you see the location, then now here both are, here both are same as the value referring to 10, but when you change that value, you see that the address is different, and I'm able to print this value. You see that I'm printing that value, right? So you can give any length of number. This is a brief information about integer, right? It will be anything 1 2 3 4 10 or any length of digits. So now we'll see float. We'll see float, and you can say that here put some comment to get the address of the object, right? So here you can say we will show the same address, right? So we already seen here, and now we'll talk about float. To the float, f equals to 1.234 means decimal point. I can print this f. So what I'll do here, print inside this float related information. Okay, so the moment when you execute this, you see that 1.234 it is printing, but I want to see whether it is here I'm seeing, right, what is the type. The same thing you can see here also, print type of if. You see that it's a float. Here it is integer and it is a float, decimal point, right? So I can see that. And the same way you can give exponential value, we already saw in the PPT. So how we can represent that? F equals to 1.2e3, 2 exponential 3. And I don't know what is the value, but we can print that. Okay, we can print that. You see that 1200.0, the value of 1.2E3 is 1200.0. Right, I can print this float value. Right, this is all about the float. Now I can take, we will discuss about complex. Okay, so complex numbers we already saw in PPT, right? So how it looks like and what is the behavior of this. So complex numbers, the representation is x plus yj. So I can say c equals to 3 plus 5j. This is an example of complex number. Print of c. We'll try to execute and see what happens. You see that 3 plus 5j, and it is surrounded by the, what is it, like when you, the bracket, right? It is surrounded with a bracket. And the same I want to see the type. Print type of C. Now it should show complex. You see that? Complex. Right. Now I want to add these two, means two complex numbers. Is that possible? We'll see. A equals to C plus C. Means C is a complex number, 3 plus 5j. Again 3 plus 5j. Can I add something like this? The plus symbol is addition here. So print of A. We'll see what happens here. You see, right? 6 plus 10j means the real part and imaginary part separately adding. 3 plus 5j, 3 plus 5j, 3, 3, 6, 5, 5, 10. The behavior of complex number is like this. Right. And what I'll do, A equals to 3.5. It's not a complex number, it's a float. For that float, I'm adding 10.3j. Okay, I'm adding complex number to a float number, floating value. So how it will be? Print of A. Now we'll see. You see that? You cannot add. It is printing as it is. So you cannot add. If I take again, they'll say instead of float, I'll mention some 5 integer value. And I'll try to execute the same thing again. You see that? You cannot add integer to complex, you cannot add a float to complex, but two complex numbers you can add. Right. So is that possible to get what is the real value and what is the imaginary value from this complex number? Can I get that? Yes, it is possible. So print a dot real means a is what? We'll see. Okay. And first we'll try to print this and we'll see. You see that? 5.0. Sorry, I said we are adding, right? Sorry, actually, so x plus yj, right? We can mention what floating point. This is that example. I got confused here, plus symbol. So this is not adding. This is what? X plus yj, right? The syntax is x plus yj. For that x and y, we can use floating points or integer numbers. So here only what? 3 and 5 integers. Here 3.5 and 10.3 are what? Floating points. And here integer and floating point combination. That's it. I'm not adding. So it is printing as it is, right? It is working fine. But what you can do here, a plus a means 5, 5, 10, 10.3, 10.3, 20.6 it will be. Right? What we did here, c plus c. The same way you can do the same thing here also. But here a dot real means what is the real point x part? 5. And what is the imaginary y part? 10.3. Okay. Print a dot imag. No need to mention imaginary, it is imag. So when you execute this, you see that real part is 5.0. And again you see, even though if you are giving what is this integer, it is showing in the form of float, and 10.3 as it is printing, so it will show in the form of what? So I'll try to print the same thing here. We need to get 3.0 and 5.0, so I'll print here the same thing. Imaginary of here c, not a, right? So we'll try to print and see. Execute. You see that 3.0, 5.0. By default, it will take floating point values only, x and y default floating, right? So the same thing here we are saying 5.0 and 10.3, right? So we are not adding. The complex number syntax is x plus yj. Okay. So sorry for that. And this is all about number data types. We have seen integer, we have seen float, and we have seen complex. Okay, so that's all in this video. Thank you for watching this video. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for further and interesting updates.